Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. So with all the stuff about Uprising and just generally a very quiet period before the event comes out, we haven't actually spoken about the stuff that's on the PTR currently. We are in the works of talking to some people that play the likes of Mei, Reaper, D.Va and Zenyatta a little bit more, but today I kind of want to go over the general theme of what's on the PTR because there is a certain pattern to it. And it's all in an attempt to actually quell dive. The issue there though is it has some pretty unwanted effects onto certain heroes, most importantly Reinhardt. Reinhardt was a must pick for such a long amount of time. Back in the days of triple tank, the Beyblade meta, everything sort of before season 4, you had to have a Reinhardt in your team. Well, since then he hasn't changed a lot, but the environment and the game around him certainly has. But what about the stuff on the PTR makes it more difficult for Reinhardt? What the problem is with him specifically, and how a rather popular idea that I've seen being thrown around on subreddits, on the forums, might actually help him out an absolute ton. As I said at the start of the video, these changes are here to sort of quell dive. Both D.Va and Zenyatta have been prevalent picks in the meta for quite a good amount of time. D.Va especially is incredibly obnoxious to deal with currently and sits at the top of popularity both in the Overwatch League and pretty much in every competitive rank in the game. So she's getting nerfed along with Zenyatta, who is the main support culprit currently, and changes and buffs coming into Mei and Reaper as well. Mei and Reaper both fit well into a death ball kind of composition. These are the very slow heroes in the game that like to fight up close and personal. And when you pair these with a Lucio being able to speed boost you in, it's basically a lot of firepower with very little effective range. If it was a weapon, it would definitely be a shotgun. So you see the likes of Reaper being used in these teams, Roadhog, Reinhardt, and of course Lucio. And the whole idea is just running onto a point much like you'd have with Quad Tank and being very difficult to move off of it. You're very much a battering ram, and at the lower tiers, heroes like Reaper, Symmetra especially, can actually be really difficult if you don't have the game sense or positioning values to get out or just be prepared for those situations when they happen. Most heroes do have a way to get away from a Reaper that just runs at them from around the corner, holding W and left click, apart from Reinhardt really. Reinhardt slows down a tremendous amount when he puts up his shield. When he sees the enemy team running at him, there's two things that he can do, and it's both a lose-lose. He can either keep his shield up to block all of the damage coming in, but of course his movement speed is slowed and he has to sort of awkwardly back out and be easily chased down, or he drops his shield, turns tail and tries to run away, taking a ton of damage in the process. Winston can leap out, D.Va can defense matrix, Roadhog could just take it and then heal up, but Reinhardt seems to be in a very precarious situation when this happens. And because you're sort of leading your team as well, you are going to be the first target that Death Ball tries to run for. Both of these changes came in to actually make this style of play a little bit more popular and to sort of counter dive a little bit, but the issue is it kind of counters itself, and one of the main heroes in this lineup being Reinhardt. I saw the comment of, oh, dive's really strong now, let's try and actually nerf Death Ball by making these obnoxious heroes harder to deal with. And the thing about these changes to Mei and Reaper is it doesn't actually make life harder for dive. See, this is what Jake said in a very popular stream that he did where he kind of just broke down the basis of the game currently, why dive is so prevalent, why the game is the way that it is, and he does actually pick up on Reinhardt and the other Death Ball heroes.
It's very, very difficult to balance characters with extreme mobility like Winston and D.Va with characters like with almost no mobility like Reinhardt or Zarya, because if you're extremely disciplined as a team and you are like very much min-maxing the objective, I think it would be easier to it's easy to simply not engage in a fight, right? Like a Reinhardt based composition, like maybe a triple tank composition, the fundamental game plan is like get to them and fight them. Like there's two ways to win an Overwatch game. You get kills or you cap the objective, right? Usually getting kills is an important prerequisite to capping the objective, but a lot of times it can go the other way. Like you can get on the objective to force the enemy team to come contest you, and then you can get kills.
So we've gone over the environment of the game, why it doesn't really favour Reinhardt. He's not part of the dive meta, he could get sort of stomped on a little bit. He's a very popular hero, it is worth adding. It's a hero that I used to main as well, but for me personally, he doesn't feel fun to play for a number of reasons. The stuff that we've gone over is one, but when you're running into counters like Reaper and Mei, you have to try and play around them. But there's one bigger issue that really irks me as a Reinhardt player, and it's one of the reasons why I've pretty much dropped him from my roster of playable heroes. Not only do you have the bugs surrounding him with Earth Shatter not quite landing on targets that it should, obviously a lot of stuff with charges, which are a lot better since the changes that were put in about 2 weeks ago, but ultimately it's how he deals with CC as a whole. Lucio can beep you around, Concussive Minds can send you flying into the air, Winston Primal Rage, Whole Hog. Basically, when you have your shield up, it's incredibly frustrating when the enemy team just batter you around a little bit and you can't quite find your feet. It's really frustrating. I implore anybody that's watching to just pick up Reinhardt in a quick play game and just see how much you get thrown around and how much you're at the expense and mercy of the enemy team. It's almost as if they're playing with your food, and it's not really fun to just be knocked around like this. You're keeping up your shield, which almost dies instantly with some of the spam heroes in the game. But you get stunned, hooked, hacked now as well with New Sombra. And of course with Brigitte coming around the corner soon, another Death Ball hero mind, she can easily stun you out of your shield, which would mean you'd take a lot of damage. So overall, when Brigitte comes into ranked and these actual Reaper made changes go through, and I think the Reaper change especially, it's just going to spell disaster to Orisa, who we've spoken about previously, but mostly Reinhardt, who is in a nice popular position, and I feel that players are just going to get very frustrated with him. So how do you fix this? Well, one of the ideas that I've seen thrown around on Reddit, there's no specific person that's come up with this idea, hence why I say I've seen it in several places, is the idea that when you have your shield up as Reinhardt, it's almost like when you move as D.Va when you're firing your missiles. See, D.Va can be booped and Concussive Mind around quite easily when she's just, walking around in a mech. But once she starts using her primary fire, she slows down tremendously and she becomes somewhat weighted to the ground. There are clips of Lucio trying to boop a D.Va, but because she's shooting, she doesn't go very far. And what I would like to see is Reinhardt just being a lot stronger in CC overall. So every time that he has this shield up, he can't really be booped the same distance away from a Lucio or Concussive Mind. He almost becomes anchored to the ground a little bit. So when he's trying to move along, he's not being thrown up into the air by Doomfist just punching him. He can actually keep himself bunkered to the ground. It's worth adding that whilst this is a little bit doom and gloom for Reinhardt, Blizzard are working on some changes with another hero that they haven't quite addressed yet. So who knows, maybe Reinhardt may be getting a few things his way, as he seems to have just taken a beating ever since he was a prime hero. Do want to quickly say that all of this is of course another indirect buff to Pharah, but we've already gone over in the past that these changes, whilst they do make her better, she's always going to struggle to become like a solid meta pick. She's good for certain maps and areas, and even, some players like Valkyria that could just make her work anywhere. She's never going to be quite on the same level as heroes like Tracer or Genji, I feel. But let me know what you think of all of this Reinhardt mains. Do you feel that he's in a spot of bother with the stuff on the PTR? What do you think of all this? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, the usual, all that jazz. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.